I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. And there are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. But maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall.
Happy Friday. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Rick Alexander. If you guys want to connect with me, the best way to do that is probably on Instagram at @RickAlexander_ and at Lionheart Radio. Slip into my DMs if you want to talk about coaching, if you have suggestions for the show, or have a question about the show and want me to elaborate. I do that quite often where I kind of record a show and then people have questions, and then I'll go ahead and I'll record another Morning Coffee episode to elaborate on those questions to help it make a little bit more sense for you. Hope you guys have big plans going into the weekend. I'm always fascinated by the way that we structure our lives and the way that our society sort of like puts so much emphasis on the weekend. I find it to be interesting because we spend Saturday and Sunday oftentimes trying to escape our lives instead of taking that same Saturday and Sunday and trying to build a life that we don't want to escape. And I know that's really cliche, and it really never hit home for me until I got out of the military. I started doing all of the things that I love to do the most full time. And then I realized it's a cliche because it's true. And so heading into the weekend, I just hope that you guys kind of find what it is that sets you on fire, what makes you feel inspired, what breathes life into you, what makes you feel the most alive. I hope you find that, and I hope that you start building those things into your life more. Because the last thing that we need in this world is more apathy. I think we really need more people that are passionate about the things that they're doing, the work that they're doing in the world. And when you don't have that passion around what you're doing, this weird low-level dissonance builds in between what you want to be doing and what you should be doing. And so then you grow apathetic toward all of the things that you do. And so I would just say, if you find yourself in a life situation that you would rather not be in, if there's something that you think you might want to pivot toward, really take the time that you have on the weekends and start building that thing. That's the only way that you're ever going to actually be able to get out of the cycle that you're in. But that has nothing to do with what today's show is about. Today's show is about minimalism. I'm intrigued by the idea of minimalism, and I'm always kind of thinking about it in my own life. And there's minimalism as a lifestyle practice, and then I think there's minimalism as a philosophy. And I got into it as a lifestyle practice, but as I've delved deeper into minimalism, I found that for performance, for entrepreneurship, for creating a life that actually matters, that it makes a lot of sense to pursue this sort of disciplined life of less. There's a way that minimalism sort of speaks to the soul. And when I was selling my first house is when I realized this, because I was selling it and I was getting ready to move across the country, and I was trying to figure out what to do with all of my stuff. And as I started inventorying all of my things, I realized that essentially it was just more things to walk by. Like that was what I was collecting throughout my life. I'm like, so I had this realization of like, do I really need to keep these things in my life? Do I need more things that I just walk by every day? And that was sort of the impetus to thrust me into minimalism. But the way that it actually improves your life is when you start to get rid of things. It's not about necessarily throwing things away, but I mean, comb your entire life, your lifestyle, your schedule, the things that you're doing, and then see what of those is just things that you walk by every day, but that you don't really need. That's not actually improving your life. You know, you can think about it in art terms to make a lot of sense. So if you have an abstract painting with like paint strokes all over the place and all kinds of different colors, and there's a red dot in the middle, that red dot doesn't really mean anything, right? Probably it's just, depending on how it's tied into the picture, it's just something that's there taking up space. But if you were to take that entire canvas, make it completely white, and put that same red dot in the middle, that same red dot almost has a power of its own, right? It almost has more attraction. You can see it separating itself from what's around it. And it actually it lends itself to more meaning. Same thing with music. If you have like 5 instruments all banging away, hitting notes, even in sync, you hear one thing. But at the same time, if you just play one chord and you let it ring out at the beginning of a song, how much more emphasis does that chord have? How much more meaning does that chord have? And so I think today my question for you is, what things are in your life? It could be physical things, but it could also be emotional things. And it could also be things on your schedule, and things that take up your time are just clutter. And we don't really notice until we take a moment to take stock of it. But if you have clutter in your room or in your house, it sort of transcends the physical world, right? It clutters up the mind, and that's one of the reasons that when things aren't going right, people tend to start cleaning up their house, right? Because they need to just get rid of the clutter. Not only that, but it gives you an emphasis of control in your life, because it's something you can actually take care of. Like, you have the ability to declutter your life. And we do that with our room, and then maybe we just move on. But today, I think we should, especially heading into the weekend, it's like really take stock of all of your activities, all of the thoughts that are bouncing around your head, all of the emotions, and then see out of those which ones are just things you walk by. They're just taking up space, they're taking up emotional bandwidth, but they're not actually moving you toward a life that you actually want. They're not actually moving you toward your goals, and they're not moving you toward your ideal life. And so really think about those things. Really think about what's in your life is just taking up space, and then what's actually providing value. The whole idea behind minimalism isn't to just throw a bunch of stuff away or to just donate a bunch of stuff. It's actually because the things that you decide to keep take on that much more meaning. And so that's my hope for you today, that you would continue to root through your life, get rid of the things that aren't improving it. And so for me, I don't really want to push minimalism as a lifestyle practice, but I think it's a really good thought experiment for all of the different things that are weighing down your life currently. Get rid of what's not providing you value. Get rid of what's not moving you toward the life that you want. And you'll find the things that you keep become much more important to you. They hold much more value. And because of that, they have much more intrinsic meaning. It's a good way to fight apathy in your life. It's a good way to cultivate passion. It's a good litmus test to make sure that things that are in your life actually deserve to be in your life. You guys have an amazing weekend. I love you. I'll talk to you later on Morning Coffee.